Families have a lot of options on how they're going to educate their kids if they decide to move abroad. So, before I answer about international schools in particular, I do want to point out that if you decide to move abroad, you would be getting residency in whatever country you're choosing. And with residency, you do have access to put your children in local schools. That will allow them to soak in and immerse themselves in the language and have that free education right in your own neighborhood. A lot of parents who are moving abroad are opting for that choice. A lot of parents also decide to homeschool or world school, and that doesn't mean you have to do it on their own. You can actually plug into lots of existing communities where they share resources in all of these major cities. There are hubs where you can access resources and go do things together so that you have a collective of people who are homeschooling and world schooling in that location. Another option is private school, and private schools tend to teach in the local language, and they are also significantly cheaper than international schools. So that would be another way to get your kids access to the local language and be able to have them in an institution where you have more resources than the local schools, but at a significantly lower cost than international schools. In regards to international schools abroad, they do tend to be the most expensive options as you're moving internationally. However, if you have looked at international schools in the United States, my kids have been going to international schools even when we lived in America since age 3. That price that you are used to in the United States is significantly higher than what it is abroad. Even though it's the most expensive choice abroad, they are cheaper than they are in the United States. So definitely look into whatever location that you're specifically looking at and check and see, because the international schools that we have sent our kids to have all been cheaper than the one we were using in the United States. Another thing to keep in mind about tuition costs at international schools abroad is there are often scholarship programs that help people who are self-funding their moves abroad, because the majority of the students that my kids go to school with are getting their international schools paid for by companies or by governments. So they tend to be military families, families from NATO, embassy families, families who have parents who are executives in companies. And so those tuition costs are being covered by big entities. Whereas the rest of us who are just paying privately do have the opportunity in many cases to apply for scholarships, and that might help you reduce the cost if you want to use international schools as you move abroad as well.